Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the third video in my 2021 Roundup Waffle series. And today, it is all about the battle for third in the standings and a blast from the past as McLaren and Ferrari went head to head. It may not have been for the title, but it was a nice reminder of the battles they've enjoyed in the past, well, for me anyway. If, by the way, you missed the previous two episodes, which covered everyone from Haas all the way up to Alpine, then I'll pop a link on screen to the first one now, and both will be linked at the end of the video for those of you who would like to catch up. And if you are new to these or need a reminder, these are not season reviews or blow-by-blow accounts. They are just a sort of laid-back look at their season stats and some of my ramblings about how I think they got on. On the subject, though, of getting on, I think I'm just going to get on with the main part of the video now that's all out of the way. We'll carry on in reverse Constructors Championship order, so we'll kick off with McLaren today. This is a weird one for me, though, because the team had a really good season. They grabbed their first win courtesy of Daniel Ricciardo since 2012, and they picked up more podiums this year than the previous 6 seasons combined. Yet I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed for them. They looked on for that P3 in the championship, didn't they? And it would have been totally deserved given how good a season they'd had. I mean, the team managed to get at least one driver to a points finish in 21 out of 22 races. Of course, a lot of the damage, if you like, they dealt in that battle to be best of the rest was done in the first half of the season with podiums at Imola, Monaco and in Austria. And with the 1-2 finish at Monza thrown in as well, it felt like it was theirs to lose. But losing it wasn't all down to the team or the drivers, really. There was a fair slice of bad luck thrown in as well. For example, Lando Norris was looking good for decent points in Qatar before he got a puncture and was hit with a slow puncture in Abu Dhabi. And Daniel Ricciardo lost power in Brazil, which all helped to contribute to it, well, falling apart, really. It's not fair to say it was all bad luck, of course it's not, but it was a big factor. All of that whilst Ferrari hit a very good run of form. And I think the timing of development had an impact as well. They kind of got all their development done, and then Ferrari got an update out after them, and that seemed to make the difference in the second half of the year. Maybe not, that's just how I view it. I mean, no doubt they will be disappointed with how the season ended and the fact they missed out on that third place, but the team overall has made some seriously strong and impressive progress over the last couple of years. And I've said this about a couple of teams already, and I'm going to say it about both teams in this video. I think they will be a force to be reckoned with in 2022. They're moving in the right direction. Onto the drivers then, and I've been, disappointed with Daniel Ricciardo this season. Of all the drivers who switched teams for 2021, I seriously thought he would be the one to get to grips with his new car the most quickly, and I was fully expecting a strong year. But he's been so much more inconsistent in terms of his pace than I ever expected. I don't think he's had as bad a year as a lot of people would lead you to believe, but it's certainly not been up to the standard we've come to expect over the years, and in fairness, he'd probably be the first to admit that. That said, he did win a race and he seemed to be getting on top of that car a bit more towards the end of the year. What I will also add though is that his start to the season wasn't actually all that bad. The problem was it paled in comparison to what his teammate was doing, and maybe that's what makes his season look a little bit worse. So, the Aussie scored at 9 of the opening 12 races, which sounds pretty solid actually. But whilst he was delivering results between P6 and P9 for the most part, Norris was smashing in podiums and was consistently inside the top 5. Do you see what I'm getting at? But with a car that was clearly capable of those big results, you can easily argue that a driver of his experience, even his first year with a new team, was expected to do more. And looking at his stats for the year, his average qualifying position and average grid slot came in at 9.59 and 9.68 respectively, with an average race finishing position of 8.09, and again, on average, he scored 5.18 points per race. He was beaten as well in the teammate battle by Lando Norris pretty solidly in both qualifying and the races. Look, I don't want you thinking I'm going in on Ricciardo because I totally appreciate it's never easy to switch teams. All I'm saying is that from a personal point of view, I expected so much more, and that's why I've been left feeling a little bit disappointed about his season. And I see it on social media all the time, people saying he's finished. I do not believe he is anywhere near finished. As for his teammate though, what a season he's had, and even though things tailed off towards the back end of the season, tailed off by the high standards he set earlier in the year by the way, he still scored at every race from Zandvoort all the way to the season finale. The problem was, aside from his podium in Italy, they were mostly finishes between P7 and P10, rather than those consistent top 5 results I mentioned earlier. And on that note, it is actually worth pointing out that he personally scored at all but 2 races in 2021, and actually only suffered 1 DNF, and that was at the Hungarian Grand Prix, which was hardly his fault, looking at you, Valtteri Bottas. Let's have a look at his season stats, seeing as we're talking numbers, get those out of the way. His averages are pretty strong, coming in at 6.54 for qualifying and 6.86 for his final race starting position. It's an average race finish of 6.61 for the Brits, and he averaged 7.27 points per race. He also secured 4 podiums this season. A pole position, was so close to a win as well, of course, and scored 160 points to end up 6th in the standings. I think there will naturally be an element of disappointment at how the year ended and the team losing out to Ferrari, and maybe some disappointment as well that he was only 6th in the standings come the end of the year, and that of course is having spent so long inside that top 5. But he's continued to develop well and improve as a driver, which is great to see. I mean, he's come a long way already since his debut season, but I think he's got to be very happy and proud with his season as a whole. And I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments section down below. But away from the title-challenging 2 of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris has got to be right up there as one of the drivers of the season, surely. I know there are a few you could make a case for, just Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly off the top of my head, but he's got to be involved in that conversation. A fantastic season overall. As for Ferrari, I think they've surprised more than a few people this year. 2020 was absolutely horrific for them and was their worst championship finish since 1980. So I don't think many were expecting all that much from them this season, given that this was also expected to be a bit of a transitional year. But 2021 was so much better for them. I mean, clearly. They scored like McLaren at all but one race, and the final stretch of the season was incredibly strong. Don't get me wrong, they had a solid start to the year as well, but only looked to be on for P4 in the standings. But thanks to a combination of issues for McLaren that I've already talked about, and the Scuderia drivers picking up the pieces, as well as delivering some excellent results, it's got to be said, they pretty much cruised to P3 come the end of the season. And I know there's a lot of pressure on Ferrari and expectation to win titles, but they hit the target set by Mattia Binotto at the start of the year, so they can't do an awful lot more than that. They were never going to be challenging Mercedes and Red Bull. I have got a little bit more I want to add on Ferrari, specifically around the teammate battle, so I want to just go over the drivers' seasons first. And both of them had seriously impressive years. Charles Leclerc set the fastest qualifying time in Monaco, although ultimately lost out on pole, and he did take it in Baku though and was so close to a win at Silverstone. There were absolutely mistakes along the way. I mean, it was his crash in Monaco in qualifying in the first place, as well as Ferrari not checking his drive shaft, that cost him the chance to start his home Grand Prix from pole. But for the most part, he's been super quick and has pulled out some great results that have seemed to have flown under the radar a little bit. Just looking through his results this season, he grabbed more than a handful of top 5 finishes, including 4 in a row between Turkey and Brazil, and was looking on for 5th in the standings up until that finale in Abu Dhabi, where he only managed 10th place for one reason or another and then dropped to 7th. But his stats for the season were very good, and as you'll see a little bit later, there was very little between the two Ferrari drivers if we look solely at the numbers. Leclerc's average qualifying result for the year is 6.59 with an average starting position of 6.71. On a Sunday, he averaged a race finish of 6.6 and 7.22 points per race. I get the feeling as well that he's upped his game this season, maybe because of the arrival of Sainz and the fact the Spaniard has pushed him hard, but also probably because it's his 4th year in Formula One. He's had time to settle at the team and is just developing nicely as a driver. He's also, for the most part, managed to extract the absolute maximum from that car, as he did last season. I think, as I said earlier, he has flown a little bit under the radar at times, as people seem to focus on his teammates' performances, and maybe on how Norris was getting on as well, which I kind of get. But I was impressed with him once again in 2021, just as I was last year. As for Carlos Sainz, well, he is probably the biggest surprise of the 2021 season. When it was announced that Vettel was leaving Ferrari, I was adamant that he was the right driver to step in and take his place. People called me stupid, but I was adamant. However, even I have to admit I was not expecting him to hit the ground running in the way that he did this year. Look at some of Ricciardo's struggles we've talked about in this video already and how long it took Vettel to get to grips with that Aston. And then you compare that to how quickly Sainz settled in at Ferrari. That is properly impressive stuff. And don't forget, he managed to grab 4 podiums as well as pipping Norris and teammate Leclerc to P5 in the standings. Now, obviously, there have been mistakes, especially in practice for some reason for Carlos Sainz, and there were some struggles in qualifying at times as well, but he always bounced back from them. And how many times did he have a difficult Saturday and still come back to score good points on a Sunday? Off the top of my head, I'm thinking Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and yeah, Hungary as well. If you've got any more, feel free to let me know. And he's got some very good averages for the season as well. When it comes to qualifying and starting position, he averaged 8.09 and 7.90 respectively, but his race finishing position average, as already touched on, is pretty close to his teammate at 6.5. Remember, Leclerc's was 6.6. They were almost inseparable. And his average points per race is 7.43. Again, super close to Leclerc. Now, back to the team as a whole and that teammate battle point that I wanted to make. Looking at averages is all well and good, but one cliche I hear a lot is that stats don't tell the full story, and that is absolutely true. And this case kind of proves that in a way. As close as things were between Leclerc and Sainz based on those race averages in particular, when it came to the teammate battle, Leclerc actually came out on top a fair bit more comfortably. Now, it wasn't a whitewash or a cruise or anything like that, but there was definitely more of a gap. In qualifying, it ended 13-9, and in the races that they both finished, it was 14-6, and both of those were in Leclerc's favour. So yes, Sainz had a great year, and P5 is probably well above what he expected and what many expected, but it could easily be argued that Leclerc was still marginally the better of the two, which if I'd said that to you at the start of the season, I doubt many would have been surprised. But none of that should take away from what a great job Sainz, Leclerc and everybody at Ferrari did this year. And as a driver lineup, Leclerc and Sainz are so strong and in many ways so nicely matched and nicely balanced. Leclerc is consistently improving year on year, and if that's what Sainz can do in his first season in that car, how good is he going to be in future seasons? And seriously, if Ferrari do get that car right for the 2022 regs, a lot of people think they're going to be very, very strong. My word, they could be in for an incredible season. That is it then for the penultimate video in this series, and you can of course let me know what you think about McLaren and Ferrari seasons in the comments section down below. Now I will be back soon with another video in the final season roundup, which is obviously focused on Red Bull and Mercedes, and that will be out on the channel soon, so keep an eye out for that one. In the meantime though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel in its fight against those pesky YouTube algorithm gods. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.